Welcome to Chronic Conversations, the podcast that brings a voice to the stories behind chronic symptoms. I'm your host, Catherine Rose, certified integrative health practitioner, founder of ThriveWell, and soon to be published author. After years of battling unexplained symptoms and finally getting a diagnosis of Hashimoto's, I turned my pain into purpose. Now I help women just like you feel seen, heard, and validated while uncovering the root causes of symptoms and helping to create lasting wellness. Each week, I'll share insights from my own journey, some proven strategies that I use with clients, and conversations with fellow experts and warriors. You're not alone, and you can thrive. Now let's get into today's conversation. Welcome, Joya. I am so excited to connect with you and have you on Chronic Conversations. And thankful that we can share your story of hope with this community.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I hope that your listeners find value to this. I have had cancer and I love talking about cancer. And, unfortunately, it's just something that really everybody needs to think about. So I'm so excited to share.
Well, thank you. Before we dive into your cancer journey and all of that, do you mind just telling us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your journey, what led to you becoming an integrative health practitioner and starting Enjoyably Healthy?
Yeah, sure. So let's see, I'm a speech therapist. That's my
Mhm.
first endeavor in life, we can say. I'm a 15-year speech therapist. I've always done pediatrics, and that was really my jam up until this whole health journey started. Actually, technically, the second, the reoccurrence of the cancer really changed my life. So I still do practice currently today. Here we are in 2025,
Mhm.
middle of the year. I'm still practicing speech pathologist, but I am growing my business, and we'll talk about my cancer journey, but that's really why I got involved in integrative health and have started my business Enjoyably Healthy and do health coaching and all the things. So I love to talk about entrepreneurship too, and I'm just loving growing this new side of me that I feel like God has given me through the pain that has been the cancer journeys.
Yes, you're turning your pain into purpose.
Yes.
I love it. In the intro, I mentioned that I felt like I've known you longer than I have. Like I
Uh,
think we met in like on Team Voltage, but I feel like it's been like way before that. And I
I
say how you're such an open book and easy to talk to and so magnetic that I feel like I've known you for years.
Good. Thank you so much. It was just so
Yeah.
cool to, we both live in North Carolina, like an hour away. So
And we got to meet in person.
we got to meet in person. We'll meet again in person soon
We
enough.
will. We
Yes.
will. You want to jump into your journey
Yes.
now? And I'm thinking and wondering if you are willing to go all the way back to the day that you discovered you had cancer
Yeah.
and move on and take us through the journey from there.
Sure. So right now at this time of the recording, I'm 43 and it started when I was 34. So quite a while ago,
Yeah,
but just was, I'm going to give air quotes for the listeners who can't see, a healthy young woman. I had
sure.
my child. I was working out, never really a sickly person. Did not know that I had genetic predisposition towards cancer, and just was in the shower one day and felt what felt like a tennis ball inside of my breast.
Mm-hmm.
And I had, where the doctors do a manual exam 3 months before, a very thorough manual exam. And between that date and then the shower, something just went crazy inside of my body.
Wow. Yeah.
And so again, I didn't know I had a genetic predisposition. I didn't know about anything. I just was like, this doesn't feel good. It
Sure.
that sense of, uh-oh, this doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
But again, this was like, 8 or so years ago. Hopefully things have changed. I have
Yeah.
multiple providers telling me, "Oh, it's not cancer. It can't be
Mm.
cancer. You're too young. You're healthy. You're
Right.
like it's not cancer." To the point, Catherine, where I had gotten it so deeply ingrained that it wasn't cancer into my head that I
Yeah.
literally went and drove by myself to get the results. And it's gonna make me, I'm gonna probably cry a lot, but it makes
All
me cry.
right.
I just go back to that feeling of being completely alone, being completely,
Mm.
I want to say gaslit, although that's probably a harsh word. They just didn't know any better, back then. And
Yeah.
it's convinced me that I was fine. And I almost wrecked my car on the way home because I
Mm.
crying.
Of course. Yeah.
So that first journey was so hard. I didn't know anything about anything. I really didn't know
Yeah.
anything. I didn't know anything about preventative or natural healing or integrative health at all. So I really just followed the protocol that the medical oncologist gave, which is immediately go into chemotherapy. That was
Mhm.
first, because by the time we found out more about it, it was widespread. It wasn't even a single tumor, it was multiple focal points throughout the whole entire breast.
Wow.
It was like a bomb had gone off and there was
Mm.
shrapnel inside of it. And he's like, "We have to do a mastectomy, but you're so like, this is so critical. We have to start with chemotherapy and immunotherapy immediately." So
Okay.
just followed the path, did immunotherapy, did chemotherapy simultaneously for about 5 months, did the whole, cancer struggle that you see, my hair fell out. I gained a bunch of weight because I was on steroids. I was depressed. I couldn't work. I couldn't really care for my daughter. I mean, it was a rock bottom. And
Sure.
I don't talk about this too much, but just to quickly mention the fact that I also got divorced and separated first and then divorced during this time period,
Yeah.
which was not good for healing the
Ooh.
body.
Mm-mm.
And 2016,
Mm.
I say that is my rock bottom.
Yeah.
And so many people now on Instagram and things like I connect with, they immediately change their lives after their cancer diagnosis. But I just was not in the mind space, or God, it wasn't God's plan quite
Sure.
for me to learn any lessons.
Hmm.
My mindset was so messed up from all of what had happened.
Yeah.
I did go through all of that. I had double mastectomies, I had reconstruction, lots of shots, lots of infusions. I got through it cancer, quote, quote, again, cancer free or no evidence of disease is what they
Yeah.
call it. And kind of was like, went through this system where you quickly get mutilated. And I
Right.
try to be careful because somebody listening to this is probably going through it. Girl, keep going. You're good. Or
Right.
dude, keep going. Like you can do it. But it
Yeah.
really does kind of just chew you up and spit you out. In a lot of cases, there's no follow up or support except for a yearly doctor visit where the doctor
Oh,
and
wow.
my oncologist is a godsend, but he's like, 15 minutes. How you doing? How's the kid? How's the family? How's the pill working for you? Great. See you next
Yeah.
year. And then it's just on you to go back to quote, quote again, normal life.
Right.
My normal life was completely different. I'm single mom for the first time.
Sure.
It was just I was so incredibly broken and I
Yes.
didn't have strategies. So I threw
Mhm.
myself into what comforted me before, a lot of that being alcohol.
Yeah.
Terrible decision for my body that I just didn't even.
Okay.
I thought this is done. I've done it. I've paid my dues. I take this pill. I'm doing my thing. I'm checking the boxes. It's done. I'm going to go back to normal life, figure out how to date, find another husband, and figure out how to make money too. So this is a big part of, what I like to talk about is scarcity mindset. For the first time, I'm
Hmm.
a mom, which was very stressful. And
Sure.
I threw myself into work. And so, not alcoholic, I don't claim that, but alcohol abuser plus workaholic
Hmm.
for 6 years. That was my life.
Yeah.
There were good times, there was some weight loss, there was some dating, but there was a lot of stress. There was too much drinking, and there was no dietary changes or anything. It was
Yeah.
just, again, I thought I had done it and I didn't need to think about it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when you get diagnosed with any chronic illness, but especially cancer,
Yeah.
this is your life. forever. And
Hmm.
it's a hard pill to swallow, but it's
Sure.
so important that you do swallow it because it can come back. And
Yeah.
despite mastectomies, so there's so many common myths with cancer, breast
Hmm.
cancer. Oh, mastectomy, like what's going to grow back? You have no breast tissue. Well, no evidence of disease. Well, it still came back. So 6 years go by, and I had been followed up with some little nodules that would form because of the it's called fat necrosis. It's in the breast when there's reconstruction. So little like tumor, it felt like little tumor things would pop up. But then for 6 years, we would look at it and they would, oh, it's not, it's nothing, it's benign, it's benign. And the little things would go away. So I never imagined it coming back. I mean, of course, I probably had thought, oh, it could come back, but it wasn't a reality that I allowed myself to accept.
Sure.
And when it came back, I was shocked and
Yeah.
floored and angry
Oh, yeah.
and scared. So
Yeah.
I literally thought, my first thought is, what the heck? I'm going to die.
Hmm.
Gosh, it's brutal. Like,
Yeah.
with the whole being a cancer survivor thing, you look at TV shows or read a book, and it's like the mother's cancer comes back and then she's gone out of the story. That was the programming that I had had.
Mm.
I knew people that had happened to. So
Yes.
to me, all I knew was it comes back and you die. It's stage 4 immediately and you come back, it comes back and you die. But
Hmm.
God had another plan. Thank God.
Yeah.
So, we go through all the process of getting scans and, trying to go through that Western medical route, of course,
Hmm.
in the beginning and figuring out like what has happened. And I don't know, they didn't really have any good answers of what happened. They just were like, okay, this is how we treat it. They don't know
Yeah.
why. They don't have any root cause ideas, but okay, so now this is what the doctor's telling me. Now you have to go on chemotherapy again, which is literally the last thing I ever want to do.
Yes. After going through it the first time and knowing what to expect, what
Knowing
it's
what
like.
to expect. But he's telling me you're going to go on harder chemo this time. You're
Mhm.
going to go on the hardest one because your body probably knows how to like figure that one out. So we need to try another
Mm.
one. Not your body, the cancer,
Right.
part of my body, but the cancer specifically. We need to
Yeah.
target it for something different. And I'm like, oh no, oh no, I don't want to do this. But like, here I am, I'm a mom and I don't want to die, and I guess I'll do it.
Yeah.
So,
Can I ask what like kind of support system you had? I hate to interrupt you, but I'm so curious when you hear this diagnosis, even the first time, second time, like were you what kind of community or support did you have?
yeah, my parents are saints. So, thank you, mom and dad.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously, like they supported me as much as they could financially and physically. Had some church support both times. Great, great, great stories about Christian miracles throughout the
Mhm.
both of the processes. I mean,
Yeah.
when I got diagnosed the second time, I remember my church group. We still same group. We still meet on Zoom. Love you guys too.
Oh,
And one of my church people, friends was like, thank you, God, it's already healed. And I was like, what? What is she talking about? And, so now I say those kind of bold prayers because
oh, that's so good.
spoke them over me of like, this is already done in Jesus' name, and just having that, that rock solid faith where I needed it. I needed somebody.
Yeah.
So whenever you can give it to other people.
Yes.
So, like, some friends, some family, but I will tell you, I was not on social media at all, which if you look at my page now, you're going to be like, wow, she blabbers a lot about all her personal stuff. Like you said, you feel like you know me. I'm like so out there with it now, but
It's different once you're on the other side
yeah, but
talking
back
about it.
then I had a private Facebook group. I would share updates, but I literally put nothing on my main Facebook page. Nobody. Like, I'm sure people knew, but it wasn't public at all
Yeah.
what I was going through, which I regret. Honestly, I regret. I wish I would have started enjoyably healthy back then, but I was not as strong mentally
Yeah.
or resilient. So where was the doctors telling me harder chemo and another surgery and this time radiation and your hair's going to fall out again. So you're going to do cold capping. And it's like, oh, I was just preparing for all of that. But at
Yeah.
the same time, my gut instinct, which I believe is, the Holy Spirit, but my gut
Sure.
instinct was like, I'm mad. Like I did the
Mm-hmm.
things. I did what they told me to tell. I did what they told me. I did it. I had put so much trust, and I was like a scientifically minded person. I was pushing
Mm-hmm.
COVID vaccines on people. I was like, pharmaceuticals are godsend, and that crumbled in those moments of the
Sure.
second is coming back. I think pharmaceuticals have a place, but they are not all in all the one-stop shop by any means.
Yeah.
Of course, not being an IHP, I know that. But I don't know what happened, but God led me one step at a time to find someone who gave me a book, to start listening to podcasts of people who were healing naturally, to
Mm-hmm.
learn about food as medicine and different types of things that I could start integrating. And I think I really needed a sense of control.
Mm-hmm.
I started doing my own research. I completely changed my diet. All of this time period was happening simultaneously while we're getting scans and the doctor's saying to do this thing and that thing, what the plan is. Thirdly, I'm also a single mom, and I know now the financial devastation of the cancer diagnosis and that I'm on my own this time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look, I'm off in the summer. Could I please wait to do chemotherapy? It was March at this time. Could I please wait for 2 more months while I'm going to be off anyways,
Mm-hmm.
so that I don't have to take medical leave? Because I knew that would reduce my income.
Yeah.
And thankfully, my oncologist came up with a plan
Mm-hmm.
for me to start on the immunotherapy that he had wanted me to go on after chemo.
Yeah.
He,
Okay.
we can try this. We'll do immunotherapy first,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll see if you're responding. If you're not, you have to immediately start chemo. And if you are, it'll buy us a little bit of time. We'll try to shrink some tumors, then we'll excise them or, take them out surgically. Then you'll do chemotherapy.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So he fibbed. I don't know what he said to the insurance company to get them to approve that. I'm very passionate about speaking about pharmaceutical industry,
Yeah. Yeah.
the insurance companies and our whole medical system and how crazy it is. But that's not usually the course of care.
Sure.
And that's partly because it's not insurance approved, but he fought for it and he was able to get it. So I started on this immunotherapy with a low dose of chemo, but it wasn't the hard stuff that he was planning to do later.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I also started integrating a plant-based whole food diet
Mm-hmm.
and learning about all the toxins in my house and starting throwing stuff away, cleaning solution, candles, air fresheners, starting to learn about stress and rest and the toxins that live in our mind and
Oh,
spirit.
yeah. That's good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So doing some spiritual, emotional work, dealing with things that I hadn't gotten any counseling for in those 6 years,
Mm-hmm.
and really just trying so hard to work on my mindset that I am not going to die and I'm going to live. And, of course, spiritual practices with prayer and meditation, things like that too.
Yeah.
Thing that I could think to do holistically on my part, I was doing it. And
Awesome.
the tumor started shrinking. I could
Oh,
feel it.
that's amazing.
I
You
could
could
feel
feel it. Yeah. I guess yeah. Yeah.
I literally like this time it was maybe the size of like a small plum, maybe.
Okay.
And I could feel it shrinking. I
It's
would wake
amazing.
up and I would be like, I think it shrunk to the point where about 3 or 4 months, I'm getting these infusions. I'm
Yeah.
holistically changing. I'm doing a lot of, cancer fighting foods and things like that. So doing some
Yeah.
fasting, all of these things to the point where I couldn't feel it anymore. Like it was gone. And so I go at the end of this 4 month time period, I get to the summer and they do a breast MRI and
Okay.
nothing shows up.
Wow.
And my surgeon is like, well, there's still probably something that the MRI isn't catching. We're still going to do surgery.
Yeah.
And we did the surgery and literally it was all gone. It was all gone.
That's amazing.
Yeah. They were shocked. I was shocked. This is
Yes.
not the plan. The plan
Right.
was to get it smaller and then cut it out with clear margins. And
Yeah.
so because of that, my doctor was like, you don't have to do chemo.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, and radiation. He was like, she's good. She doesn't need those things. So another doctor might have said something different, and he told me up front, he's like, there's really no, like when it comes back, he's like, there's not a standard protocol. He's like, you can get a second opinion. We're going to try this. And I am so grateful I have an out of the box thinking oncologist. Any
Sure.
supplement, he let me try any supplement. Some oncologists won't let their patients try any supplements.
Yeah.
He, fasting, he was good with like all of the things. He was good with all of it. And so if he was like, I really don't want you to do that, I would listen to him because he was so open-minded to not
Yes.
bring much to the table. He's not an integrative oncologist, but he's
Yeah.
an open-minded person.
Good. I'm
Yeah, I
so
did the
thankful.
research, I brought it, and he, at the end of the whole thing, I'm like, what the heck? Like, do other people do this? Do people know about this option? Like,
Yeah.
I we saved me from chemo. And he's like, no, like this doesn't happen. Insurance doesn't really do this. And he's like, at that point in time, he said that he knew of one study with that particular medication where about half the people did have a reduction in their tumor size
With
before
the
surgery.
immunotherapy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
But it's like, did this happen just because of the immunotherapy? I definitely think it was supercharged, super sped up with the immunotherapy, but I don't think it was all on the
Oh,
immunotherapy.
yeah. Oh, yeah. No.
He said, so about half the people had good shrinking results. He said, but nobody had a complete remission.
Mm.
So he was like, it's God. He was like, it's me. You did your part. God did. We're a community here, the three of us.
Mm.
I know.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh.
How did that, you know, how did that feel just walking out of there? Like, you know, I mean, it's gone. Like you've dedicated. I know it's a lifelong thing, but just walking out of there, like I've done all this work and it worked, and not on your own, but like I can't imagine. I would have been just like I would have cried happy tears, and I don't know what.
It's literally the best feeling in the entire world.
No.
It's literally the best. Like it makes me want to cry. Like I'm crying thinking about the sad emotions of this journey, but it just makes you so grateful because people do die, and it comes back and they die or they get it and they die, or they get it and it's just so much more of a struggle. And I got a miracle and it's like, what the heck happened?
Yeah.
And to kind of keep going with the story, if you don't mind, a year goes by and I just went back to normal life. It was so weird. And
Yeah.
like, wait, all this happened. And I kept thinking, am I going to still be obsessed with health and wellness and diet and, all of these things that I learned and wanted to keep learning more? Or is it going to kind of fade? And
Hmm.
here it just continued to grow and grow. And it just, even still being a speech therapist, I'm like, yeah, this is okay. But I'm going a different route. At that time, I was actually a professor at the university. So as
Okay.
you just of a job as you could think for a speech pathologist, I had gotten there with my
Yeah.
workaholism, my whole workaholism. I had gotten to that point because I was so extreme. I mean, I'm pretty good at speech therapy, but I was also
Yeah.
like striving to be the best all the time.
Yeah.
And it started to be nothing that I cared about really in terms of being the best. Like I
Yeah.
want to do a good job, but I don't care to have the recognition of working at a university and being a professor or, having big platforms of listeners listen to me about this topic.
Yeah.
I started doing presentations to students and faculty about mental wellness and
Yeah.
stress and burnout and how it ties into physical health. And it was such a beautiful progression, but I don't work
That's
there
so
anymore.
good. I don't think I
Yeah.
knew that. I don't even think I knew about you being a professor either. But
Yeah. Yeah.
look at you.
And I'm very glad I got to do it, but I don't do it anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a stressful job. It was
Oh,
a lot,
I'm sure.
a lot. And
Um,
have,
your strength is incredible.
thank you.
And you're, to me, just such a force, like an amazing positive force and shining light. And I know that you have a strong faith. So I'm curious, like, when we hit rock bottom, when we are in our darkest times, and, what in your faith did you cling to? What would you go to? Are there specific scriptures, songs, like worship music? It feels strange to say worship music when you're, you know, in the dark, but we still do it. I'm curious.
Yeah, I have a lot to say. First of all,
Okay.
for the person who's listening and they're in that dark place, fear is a liar. Fear
Yeah.
is a liar and fear is from the enemy. And that's just on my heart to say that. So
Yeah.
still doesn't feel good, but feelings need to be put to the side. Keep doing the actions
That's good. Yeah.
to do, even when you don't feel them. That is faith. That
Yeah.
is faith when you turn on the worship music and you feel like you're drowning in debt, sorrow, disease, whatever the thing is.
Yeah.
Put it aside and do the things that you have been taught to do. Pull out the Bible, call your mentor, pray, those things. So I have really cool stories about worship music specifically during the reoccurrence.
Hmm.
Sometimes it still happens, but it usually doesn't anymore. But I would wake up with like a radio on 100 in my head, specific songs.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing. Over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So I love elevation worship. There's
Mm-hmm.
song Lion. Would I wake up and it's like just God's with you. And oh my gosh, what's the song? There's one by Torrin Wells called Famous For. So it's like
Okay.
talking about God is going to do what he's famous for.
Yeah.
That song never was special or any meaning to me. But during the week that I had the biopsy
Hmm.
and I'm waiting for those final results,
Hmm.
was there cancer left or not?
Yeah.
Every single morning.
Mm.
And it would pop up on my playlist.
Uh, hmm.
Do what he's famous for. And he did it.
He did it.
He is the God of miracles.
Mm.
So put the feelings aside. It still doesn't feel good. Like even now, I had a stressful week at work and I'm like, do this prayer thing. It doesn't
Right.
feel good. But then you start doing it and does it like you do start to get that peace with
Yeah.
more practice. Just keep going back there. And the hardest part of any healing journey is the mind. It
Hmm.
is mental hell you have to go through to see everybody. I'm sure you could feel this. See everybody living their happy lives on Facebook. They're taking their summer vacations.
Oh, yeah.
And you're laying there and you can barely move,
Yeah.
and you're fighting for your life and you're fighting for your health and your wellness and it's so mentally tough and you just want to be like this isn't fair, but
Yeah.
look what can be on the other side. You can
Right.
have purpose through all of this journey and you can have testimony and a wonderful story. My story, I used to just think I just have to get back on the mainstream and get remarried and get back to normal. And I'm still not remarried. And I am so grateful that my
Yeah.
life is skyrocketing into Adventureland over here.
Yeah.
I have these stories to tell, and I get to be on your podcast, and I get to meet amazing people that inspire me like you. So I wouldn't change it. I don't want it to happen again. Let me be clear. I don't want
Yeah.
it to happen
You
again.
know.
Don't wish it on anybody.
Hmm.
Such a blessing to live a purpose-driven life.
Yeah.
It's such a blessing. I hear people say all the time, I don't know what my purpose is. And
Hmm.
that's terrible, and I can't tell them what their purpose is. I don't know.
Sure.
But to be so young, I feel that God's like, boom, there you go. There's your purpose.
There it
Go,
is. There it is.
go do it. Go help people. Go tell people
Yeah.
other side of health.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, became an IHP. So grateful for that community, that certification, work with clients, health coach, sell healthy products online. Love it. Love it. Love it so much.
Oh, it's so good and encouraging, and you're gonna make me cry. Okay, so for those that are listening that are newly diagnosed, what what advice and really encouragement, which you've done throughout the entire episode, but what advice and encouragement do you have for those listening that have been newly diagnosed?
Yeah. Okay. Let's say you're newly diagnosed and you have yet to start your treatment plan. My best advice is slow down. You do not have to rush.
Hmm.
Don't have to just go along with what conventional medicine says. I will caveat this with I would never tell someone not to do chemo. I would never go against an oncologist's advice. However, your body, that's up to you. You
Yeah.
don't have to do what everyone else does. And there are people who do the complete opposite
Mhm.
and go holistic healing, all natural. I have great resources if your listener wants to reach out to me. And there are people like me who integrate and do this and that. And they literally go to their oncologist and say, I don't feel comfortable with that. I want to try this first. And you just don't know that you have that power.
Yeah,
Someone makes you aware of it. You know,
sure.
think,
Yeah.
okay, yes, doctor, I do this. I take this pill. I take this shot. I take this surgery.
Yeah.
And so just slow the process down. Unless something is literally like you've got just a few weeks to live or it's obstructing a major organ, your tumor, you typically have time. It takes a long time, years to grow a tumor. It's not going to kill you in 2 weeks. If you need to take more time to research, pray, see where God leads you, try to get as much as you can into a place of making decisions that are not based in fear, but based in faith.
Hmm.
Feel like signs, and you're like, if you go for chemo, go for it with all your heart and believe. That's my other big takeaway
Hmm.
from the mindset is if you go for a full conventional treatment, just put
Yeah.
your heart, your whole mind, every cell in your body, you're going to believe that it's going to work. And guess
Hmm.
what? That is a really good indicator that it will work. Same for
Yeah.
holistic healing. Any treatment plan that you end up doing, you have to put your belief into it.
Yeah, absolutely. That is that's awesome. And so true. Our bodies can hear what we think, what we say, what we believe. I think that's so important to keep in mind for sure. So as you have gone on from, being cleared, I don't know the phrase because I know what do you say? So they didn't find anything, the cancer's gone. Like, how would I say? So you are,
That's a great question. Technically call it, we say NED in the cancer world, so no evidence of disease. And they used to say cured, but they know that
mhm,
everyone, and this is like a myth, everyone has cancer all the time.
yeah,
Everyone has rogue zombie cells that are cancer, but our immune system processes it out all the time. So we're
yeah,
constantly processing out these cancer cells and detoxing from them. So you can't really say you're cancer free. That doesn't make sense. The more you know. So they
yeah,
call it no evidence of disease. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, that's good to know. And that's why, I feel like we talk about this all the time in our groups, but it's so important to detox, but also get down to a cellular level because if our cells are sick, then the good stuff can't get in, the bad stuff can't get out. And we're constantly turning over cells. It's an important thing to keep in mind and to, treat our bodies well.
Yeah. With cancer specifically, too, on that topic of detox, I love detox.
Yeah.
We're fighting against a lot.
Woo,
We're fighting
yeah. Hmm.
toxins in
More
the
and more, like
age.
every
Yeah.
day. Yeah.
The water, the air.
Hmm.
even if you are living non-tox too, it's in the air,
Oh
you
yeah.
can avoid it, plus
Yeah.
toxic relationships, plus toxic thoughts, plus spiritual warfare. So having time periods of fasting, having periods of strategic detox or liver cleansing or whatever you want to go. Like I love it all. Parasite cleansing, candida, mold, all the things. I think it's something everyone should learn about. I think it's
Yeah.
something everyone should try to live a non-tox life as much as possible because as you know, as the IHP, it's like, here's a little microplastic,
Yes.
here's a little this, and then it overflows the rain barrel,
It
right?
all adds up.
Yeah.
With that, speaking of detox and things like that, what tips would you give those listeners that are either, currently on their cancer journey or, you know, trying to keep it from just prevention from reoccurrence?
Yeah, those are two big, really different questions in my
Okay.
mind.
Yeah.
So, if you're currently healing cancer, that's where I'm like, I would rather just talk to somebody face to face and be like, what exactly are you doing? Like, what provider are you working with? And if it's a Western type of treatment like chemotherapy or surgery, radiation, that kind of a thing, there's so many simple things that you can add in from Epsom salt baths to starting your morning with lemon water with a
Mhm.
little bit of salt for electrolytes to detoxifying your home products to eating.
Mhm.
So there's so many simple foundational things, getting air purifiers that really anybody can do. But I wouldn't want to like say, let's jump into the parasite cleanse while you're on
Yeah.
the really any kind of cleanse. Like I
Yeah.
would rather just you get through that time period. And then we work on freshening up those cells, like recovering and then working on prevention. So after that time period's done,
Yeah.
or if you're on a holistic healing journey, there's just so many places you could go with detox. I love to start with cleansing the liver. The functional medicine detox we all do is a great first step into detoxing.
Yeah.
And functional lab testing, like we also love to do, can help those
Yeah.
root cause imbalances, the toxicities in your body, and just living that detox lifestyle. I mean, from the plants you buy to the makeup that you put on your face
Yeah.
to doing certain periods of time where you're like, I'm literally going to fast for a little while. I'm literally going to take some strong supplements to cleanse out my organs, do some coffee enemas, all the things to purify the inside and keep it healthy and
Yeah.
fresh. And that as a cancer survivor, not only is physically cleansing and detoxifying, it makes me feel empowered too.
Yeah.
It gives me a sense of, okay, I know what I'm doing and I am actively preventing cancer. And it makes me feel that I have education to know what to do. And it just makes me
Yeah.
feel empowered and less afraid of reoccurrence.
Yeah. That's good. That's awesome. I that reminded me of just going back a little bit in our conversation of, you know, if so number one, don't rush into the decision of treatment. And there were two parts that I wanted to mention, like the feeling of overwhelm that I'm sure comes with that diagnosis and having to make these huge decisions of how am I gonna what course of treatment am I gonna choose that I haven't experienced that, but I've experienced over other like overwhelming situations, and I feel or I felt so paralyzed
Yeah.
in that, and at times like I
Mhm.
couldn't make a single decision. So I think it's important to acknowledge that and also advocating for yourself. I know that's a big piece in what you did, especially the second time around, and the importance of listening to your gut, your your body, your mind, all those things to, if it doesn't feel right, if you don't want to go the chemo route, if you do, either way, like just really listen
Yeah.
to your body, listen to yourself, and advocate. And advocating when you feel awful is also really hard. Advocating for yourself is hard anyway,
Mhm.
because you're pushing against, I don't know, what we or what I grew up with. Like I only knew
Mhm.
Western and conventional medicine. And again, there's a time and place for it for sure. But I guess I'm just acknowledging advocating is really good, but it's also really hard.
I agree, absolutely, especially if you're new to the other way, of
Yeah.
you trying to think to slow down the process. It's a really hard decision, and it's really going against the grain,
Yeah.
a lot of especially with a cancer diagnosis, so many well-meaning people will tell you exactly what they think. It's really crazy. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've experienced that, but people love to just share all of their
I'm sure.
and if
Hmm.
you do anything that's outside of what they think you should do, you can get a lot of pushback from your own community. So community kind of goes hand in hand with that. If you can find like-minded community on social media, it's really powerful just to even connect with one other person who's going through something similar, having somebody to talk to. Of course, making sure you're supporting each other and not dragging each other down.
Hmm.
I found, and I say that because I found myself in a lot of cancer support groups on Facebook where a lot of people are struggling, and that is their outlet. And so to read, negative things and
Yeah.
people in a negative headspace in that moment in time can be not the best idea.
Sure.
But a community is so important. And especially if you're going to go any other route than what the mainstream says, finding some like-minded community somehow, some way is a really good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. And people that can really relate to what you're going through, I think makes a big difference. Oh, I know the question I just thought of. I'm like, delete that part. So if somebody's never, number one, experienced cancer or known anybody that has, been on this journey, but then all of a sudden they have a family member or a friend or something that has been diagnosed and they don't know what to say or how to support that person. So they don't end up doing anything. I know that something that I went through, I feel like people don't know what to say, then they just don't say anything. And that's fine. That's been me before too, for sure. But do you have any advice there?
I
Like,
don't know because that wasn't, I was on the other side of things.
right.
Those are
Or
really
what would you,
like
what?
things that people did for me that helped.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really depends on the person. For me,
Yeah.
especially when people started hearing that I was going plant-based, I had some people make really nice baskets of food and expose me. Like more of my healthier friends would be like, hey, this is this like special oatmeal I eat and it's all organic. And hey, here's this kind of food. And I really learned a lot just from that kind of food sharing situation. People want to bring candy and cake and like the bundt cake. And I ask you not to do that, please. Don't do that to people going through cancer journeys. Buy them a juicer. Like if you want to give, like whatever your love language is. If your love language is words of affirmation, just send them a text and be like, I am thinking of you. I am praying for you. And it can just be as simple as that, just a
Yeah.
text without any expectation of an update or a response or something like that.
Sure.
Comfort things I think are always good too, where people send pajamas. Like I love
Oh,
or
yeah.
like
Yeah.
masks or like one of my friends sent me a satin pillowcase, which is supposed to be
Oh,
for your hair. Hair's a big thing if you're going through chemo, of
yeah.
course, or trying to regrow your hair. So, ChatGPT and Google are going to be your best friends as
Yeah.
well.
There you go.
In the end, like go do something, stay on the healthy, like get them a nice plant that will help detoxify their air, like stay on the healthy route, I would suggest. But cards are also just really great. Like I have saved all the cards that people ever sent me in this box, and there's just a massive amount of cards. It's like, wow, like these people took their time out to write me a card. Even just that little thing is really sweet.
Oh, yeah, of course. Do you ever pull those back out sometimes? Is that
It's been a
hard?
while since I've done
Yeah.
that, honestly. Yeah, it is kind of hard.
Mhm.
Even like I didn't post a lot. So even looking back at the pictures when I had no hair, it's still
Sure.
pretty, but at the same time, it's bittersweet. Like it's still sweet at the same time to be like, wow, like all these people were praying for me and wow, look at me now.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And the work God's done and all of that.
It's cool to go back through that Facebook group that I told you I just had this private Facebook group
Yeah.
with people I would update. It's cool to go back because I would post more pictures in there, updates, and it's cool to go back and look at that journey. It was literally, I called it Joya's journey. It's like
Yeah.
the beginning of my social media presence there.
I'm glad you have that to look back on though. Do you still talk with
No,
people through that? No. Okay.
I don't. I probably should. I should be like, hey, follow me on Enjoyably Healthy,
You
guys. If you
should.
don't.
Well, that's my next question. So for the listeners, tell them where they can find you and all the things.
Yeah, sure. So www.enjoyablyhealthy.com is my website. So my name's Joya. So my name's in there, Enjoyably Healthy. You can kind of
Mhm.
keep it fine like that. Instagram, it's enjoyablyhealthy.joya. Instagram's the best place for right now to
Okay.
find me.
And it'll be in the show notes too, as
Perfect.
well. And I meant to ask before where they can find you. Is there anything else, on your mind or your heart that we didn't cover that you want to share for encouragement or anything?
Yes. So honestly, I think just have that belief. Have your faith, have your belief if you are going through it, and just believe. Like the key is literally in your pocket. I love to tell people the key is in
Mm,
your pocket. You know what your body needs. You're gonna get through this. People cure cancer all the time. You can live a healthy life. And then if you do, then share about it. Don't be scared. Don't hide. Share your testimony. Share your journey. If you
mhm.
feel like God did something for you, other people need to hear about it.
Yeah.
I say that and I always like, I should talk about the Lord every single day. And I don't. I don't. I'm like, here's the apple I'm eating. But, it's so important to just have that strong faith and have that strong mindset and work on your mindset. If you are in a dark place, there is always hope. Never lose your hope. That's really my biggest piece of advice.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your story and chat with me. I loved it. I appreciate it.
Welcome. I love to tell my story and I love you. And I'm so excited for
Oh,
this. Thank you
yeah.
so much.
Thank you. We'll talk soon. Okay. Okay, bye. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Chronic Conversations. I hope you're walking away with a little more clarity, hope, and inspiration for your healing journey. If you enjoyed today's episode, I'd love for you to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs it. Every share helps this show reach more women who deserve to feel seen, heard, and validated. And if we're not connected yet, come say hi on Instagram. I'm at Call Me Catherine Rose. Plus, you can check out free tools and resources for your wellness journey anytime at callmecatherinerose.com. And until next time, take care. And here's to thriving well, no matter where you are on your journey.